That's right. We are back for Bitcoin Season 2 Writers Room. I'm Charlie, and this is
Colin. What's going on, Charlie?
Hey.
Whereas I like to call you sometimes to your chagrin, Chuck. How you doing, Chuck?
Oh my God! Don't do this to me, Colin. I have to find some dumb nickname for you, but unfortunately,
just call me Colin.
Yeah, Colin. Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go. You just served it up to me. Yeah, Bitcoin Season 2, welcome back. It's from Blockspace Pod. You know the drill, but the main thing is that Bitcoin Season 2 Writers Room is a little bit different. This is Colin and Charlie. We are the screenwriters for Bitcoin Season 2. We're in the arena trying out different topics, and this is a little more editorialized of a broadcast.
Bringing you the freshest angles, the most degenerate takes, the most regarded commentary, depending on the subject. And we've got a pretty regarded show for everyone today.
That's right. We've come up with a Bitcoin spectrum. Colin and I both are probably on the spectrum somewhere, but we're going to put everyone else in Bitcoin on a spectrum. But before we get to that, we got to have a word from our sponsor. Bitcoin Season 2 is brought to you by Botanix. Botanix Labs is pioneering a new direction for DeFi with the first EVM L2 running on Bitcoin that's built to be forward secure, decentralized, and share gas fees generated by the network with users. See the future of DeFi at Botanix, botanixlabs.xyz. Okay. So I guess before we get into exactly this spectrum and we start ranking people, the first person on the spectrum we're going to tie it in somehow, is Michael Saylor, who had a viral clip this week. And do you want to kind of summarize that for me, Colin?
Yeah, should we maybe try to find the clip here? Let me see.
I was not prepared here. You can you can riff while I do this.
I think I can find. Here we go. Let me find it really quickly. So it's basically he's in this interview with someone. I don't know who he's interviewing with, but he basically makes the case like almost against self-custody, saying that it's kind of this crypto anarchic fantasy. And I actually found the clip, unless you already have it.
I am also finding the clip too. So here we go.
Yeah, you should go ahead and share it, because it's one of those things where before we play the full clip,
what risk
can you pause it really quick?
does that pose?
Yeah. Okay.
So some background to this. Most people know who Michael Saylor is. The infamous Giga Chad, according to a lot of laser-eyed folks. And there's always kind of been this conspiracy surrounding him that he's a spook, with like certain, within the more paranoid subcultures of Bitcoin. There are a number of reasons for thinking this. One of the pieces of evidence that's often levied is that the MicroStrategy office is like 15 minutes away from a CIA office or the headquarters or something like that.
Yeah, but he could fight back against this by just stop saying things that a spook would say.
Yeah, this is very true. And so this gets back to the core of it too, right? Is this idea that he's kind of been intermittently throwing out these posts about how, eventually Bitcoin's only going to scale through institutions custodying it, how this is more desirable than people holding their own keys, et cetera, et cetera. So all that being said, perhaps a piece of evidence in the annals going against his cypherpunk chops, which he doesn't really have any, and perhaps maybe bolstering the conspiracy tinfoil, complaints against him. So let's go ahead and just play this.
Okay.
Held by fewer large institutions. Does that increase the risk of seizure and confiscation, like we've seen with gold? And is that not exactly what Bitcoiners don't want to happen?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think that when the Bitcoin is held by a bunch of crypto anarchists who aren't regulated entities, who don't acknowledge government or don't acknowledge taxes or don't acknowledge reporting requirements, that increases the risk of seizure. You have an OG crypto community that's very hardcore about it, but if you look at where all the money is, 99.9% of the money is actually in the traditional economy.
If you consider the Great Depression, people thought that their gold was safe in banks until the executive order of 1933. So we're not entirely safe. I know that's kind of a wild thing to suggest.
You gotta
that
love the
again,
Australian
but history does
accent.
repeat
Yeah.
itself. So
Yeah.
people's Bitcoin wouldn't be entirely safe. It's
People
not full
say that,
success
but
there.
mostly it's paranoid crypto anarchists that say that. Okay, because it's a myth and a trope that goes on over and over again. But first of all,
Wait,
he didn't
hang on.
really
Can we
seize
pause
gold.
this? Can we pause? Okay. He's saying he didn't really seize gold.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's kind of irrelevant because there was an executive order demanding people turn in their gold. So like whether or not there were troops in the streets knocking on doors, taking people's gold up from under their mattresses and taking their family heirlooms, whatever, that's completely irrelevant to the fears that people have that are completely legitimate. Like the American government throughout its history has a long list of abuses against its own citizens and against foreign nationals. Like this is not a paranoid thing. And so, sorry, go ahead. I'll
I'm going to
rant
cut
for
you
a
off there because I want to get into this really quick. Basically, yeah, you're right. And the thing is, Michael Saylor did try to throw the self-custody advocates a bone because this got him some heat this week. But let's just get right to it because we all know what you're going to say. And I think everybody watching this is like with you, Colin. We're all just like chomping at the bit. But the thing is, this is kind of a jumping off point for us to like ask this question. Well, okay, how influential is Michael Saylor? And then like, does he represent like a niche of the Bitcoin community? Like where does he fall into? And I think this generated some interesting discussion that we've been having off and on over the past half year, which is like Bitcoin used to feel kind of like a monoculture where we had shared myths and shared celebrities and shared narratives. If there was a conversation happening in Bitcoin, it was pretty much shared by everyone who was participating in this like terminally online culture. But in the past 2 years, and especially now, we've seen multiple like information ecosystems, multiple news pipelines, and narratives which have virtually no crossover from one kind of cohort of terminally online Bitcoiner to the next. And this is one of those narratives where Michael Saylor did cross over between all of the different cohorts. And it kind of led me to think, what is an interesting thing we could talk about? Where could we start? Could we define like a spectrum and to try to identify notable figures in the broader Bitcoin ecosystem and to try to like somehow categorize them? So this is
and
kind of
specifically categorize them based on their notoriety with this like kind of, I would say, a loosely defined spectrum that we have, because it is a spectrum. But on one end, we have the pure play degens, your Telegram and Discord lurking anons who are going to ape, $10,000 worth of Bitcoin into Dick token or something.
exactly
With the hope that it's going to moon. And then on the other side, you have the laser-eyed maxis, seed phrase, cut up and, it dispersed around multiple different geographies. Maybe, they only save in Bitcoin. They probably have
secure their $200 of Bitcoin. Yeah.
Either $200 or $200,000. It's kind of this funny, you get people all over the place. But
exactly. And that's the thing. So we're thinking, okay, so there's figures and we're not classifying how the figure themselves behaves, but rather how well known that figure is among a spectrum of like types of Bitcoiner. And so we have, if you're watching this, visually what you're seeing when I show the screen, visually what you're seeing is on the left, you have the laser eyes, and on the right, you have the dirty degens. And this means that if a figure is over on the far left, they are most the irony is not lost here.
Triggered.
If a person is on the far left, they are known exclusively in the laser eye circles, and if they're on the far right, they're known exclusively in the dirty degen circles. In the middle, they are known in equally, and they walk in both realms. And then I have a less important axis on the y-axis, which is how influential are they in the Bitcoin discussion? And so with further
I
ado,
would
do you have
actually
any more
argue
comments?
that's the most. I actually argue that's more important than whether or not they're known within these respective communities. But
Oh,
it's also highly subjective. All of this is based on our own, understanding of the landscape. So
exactly. And honestly, we should probably redo this. By the way, if you are watching this, feel free to type a name in the chat. We'll take a look at it. We might hot add that person
yeah.
into
And
our.
also, if you think we're being regarded with our placement, let us know. And if you are being personally spoke for, if you're up here on this panel and we pissed you off, that's a good thing. Let us know about it. And I apologize in advance for any transgressions.
I don't apologize. I'm in here just to offend people and create spicy takes. Okay, well, speaking of spicy takes, let's just start with the king of spicy takes and pissing people off. We have Udi Wertheimer here.
A man who exists to throw salt on the wound and to farm outrage. I feel like just firmly in the middle.
Yeah.
You
Every chat that I'm in is an Udi chat. Whether or not he's in the chat or not, they are talking about him. And he is just embedded like a worm, a mind virus in everybody's brain. They cannot stop talking about this guy.
No, they can't. They can't stop talking about him. I feel like if we were having this conversation in the bear market after the 2017 bull, I think he would be firmly in the laser eye camp because that was his ETH hating era, where it's like every post was about how shitty Ethereum is. But now, with all of the Taproot Wizard stuff, with a lot of honestly just maximalist bashing that's kind of become his brand over the last few years, I feel like he's definitely endeared himself to the crypto community at large.
Yeah.
And
if we were going to roll the clock back, say again to 1819, I would say he was a little influential, but not very influential. He was kind of like a niche topical celebrity, but I would say he's probably mid-tier influential now, because he's injected this topic of a soft fork.
That's why I think he should actually be maybe a little bit higher, because that's the one thing I think that's probably fair. Yeah. Because that's, and maybe we should, give Eric and Reindl and all the other Taproot Wizards folks a little more due here. But really, the Taproot Wizards company is almost single-handedly responsible for pushing OpCat to the top of the activation discussion. I think much to the kind of confusion and anger of a lot of people, although I think more people are warming up to OpCat. But we've talked about this before. I've always kind of fallen into the camp of, this seems ridiculous to me when CTV has been on the board for years now.
We could go around and around about this.
We could for sure. So maybe
this is one of the things where if a soft fork happens and Cat's part of it, Udi will catapult to top and center of top 5 most influential people. But right now, I would just say he's well known everywhere, and he's decently influential.
Yeah, I think so. And he's also decently influential just for the fact that every time he shit posts, it becomes a topic on Bitcoin Twitter. People retweet, people get outraged. He's amazing at farming engagement. I think he's disingenuous a lot of the time, and he knows what he's doing. And I don't necessarily really like a lot of the things that he posts or even how he comports himself. But you can't deny the fact that the guy is great at marketing stuff. So yeah, I think he's probably in a fair place. Now, another man who is terrible at marketing things.
Worst marketer ever, but also just as infamous. We have Luke Dash Jr., longtime Bitcoin Core contributor, and recently the savior of Bitcoin, or the filter of your JPEGs.
The failed JPEG filter push of 2023 and 2024. This is a tough one, because I don't want to cop out and say that like he deserves to be in the middle as well, because the filter debate has made him known in circles where no one would know him at all. Again, and this is really, I think, an interesting point that we'll come back to during this whole exercise. this spectrum would shift radically depending on the year, but we're using 2024 obviously as our reference point. I would place him maybe a little further to the left, but not much.
Which is funny because I would place him further to the right. This is my thought. Yeah, this is my thinking. So I think that a lot of like the DCA crowd does not really pay attention at all to Bitcoin development, and they only listen to the Bitcoin ideologies. And whereas there is not a single JPEG person who doesn't know Luke. Whereas if I'm pretty sure, like I'll go to Bitcoin meetups and I will reference Luke Dash Jr. and they will not know who that is. But I talk about Luke in like a Discord and everyone like knows context and everything.
That's an interesting distinction. My one counter to that would be there is this new class of like DCA Bitcoin maximalist who might not be plugged into these things, but for a lot of the, like, I would say thought leaders within the laser-eyed community and a lot of the most active members, like Luke Jr. is tantamount to like Paul the Apostle or something.
Yeah,
I mean, he's one of the most influential, and that's why you got to give him credit. He is one of the most prolific and important developers, and I like. So we've got a bifurcated Luke. I think this is kind of perfect.
He's on either. Luke exists in superposition.
He's like equally balanced out. But you got to give it to the guy. He's been one of the most important developers. But truly, I think he's kind of had some pretty unhinged takes recently. I mean, like the fact that he's comparing, what he calls spam, which is a total semantic argument that has no bearing, I think, in actual, technical merits. He compared it to rape, and that is so far beyond the pale. Even for a word cell like me, who loves dabbling in analogies and loves thinking abstractly, that's like galaxy away of abstraction. I just can't
Bro. Okay, so we put Luke both on the left and the right, a little bit either way, and is highly influential. So now we have Matt
Odell,
one of my favorite people in Bitcoin.
Yeah. Put respect on the name.
Yeah, one of the most respected people. He's pretty hardcore, like he's pretty laser eye, but like
he is for sure. But he's ideologically consistent. He's like he's like the Ron Paul or the Bernie Sanders of Bitcoin influencers.
Yeah,
like you just look at his track record throughout the years. Well, maybe Bernie's kind of fallen off recently. He's kind of become something of an establishment shill. But at the end of the day, highly consistent with his views. And I do think that that's probably good placement for him. I don't think many people in the Degen crowd know who Matt is. And that's probably for the best.
No, absolutely none of the Degen crowd know who Matt is. And it's also even more like that because he left Twitter for Nostr. So he is, I would say, almost as far left and known by the laser eyes as you can possibly get.
Yep. Where do we put him on the influence scale? Because that's
a hard one, because I would actually say he's very influential in privacy, but I don't know if he's that influential in like Bitcoin discourse. I think,
Yeah, it's an interesting question, right? Because we almost need to have like two different axes for influence, where you have Luke and Udi right now on the board, where in terms of Bitcoin development, they're very influential, or at least pushing conversations in that way for Udi, for Luke, legitimately making changes to Bitcoin and being the most prolific developer, one of the most in recent memory. But Matt is extremely influential culturally. Yeah. I mean, from everything from Citadel Dispatch to, like you said, a lot of his comments on privacy. I mean, he is kind of the cypherpunk ethos embodied in a Twitter or now Nostr account, right?
I'm going to put him at medium influence, because I wonder, like, if he had a strong opinion on like what Bitcoin should look like in the future, I wonder if
would he actually be able to move the needle. Yeah. No, and I think that maybe should be the litmus for this. It's like, how influential are they for the future of Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if Matt is for that in terms of like.
I think he's trying not to be.
Progress. So I think so. And that's again, put respect on the name. All right.
So if we're gonna take respect,
Mr.
off the name,
OnlyFans.
Mr. OnlyFans here, we have Robert Breedlove. And so if you're watching this, you probably have no idea who this guy is.
This like Abercrombie model. He's a little background on him. I believe he's from Chattanooga or Knoxville, Tennessee. He's somewhere from Eastern Tennessee. Shout out to the home state. He looks like he's from there. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but this, people from Eastern Tennessee and Appalachia have this kind of Scotch Irish look. But
I don't
know.
Poster child for Bitcoin think boy, non-technical. I'm going to open up the Bible and tell you how Bitcoin works kind of guy.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. He's a part of this class of podcaster from the last bear market. And really before then, I think he really started having his come up right before 2020. And, his podcast got really big. I think it's the Bitcoin Money Show.
I don't even know what it is. It's so low signal that it doesn't even pop. I don't even know what it is.
But, he's kind of become persona non grata after some weird family drama with his baby mama, which we won't get into because we're not a gossip.
I can editorialize this. I think he's a shitbag, but yeah. I'll just be straight up about that.
But do the dirty degens know who he is?
No, they have absolutely no idea who this person is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think firmly, yeah. And I think that the influence thing is
he's like virtually not. Yeah, I don't think he's very influential at all.
Okay, now this one's gonna get us in trouble. Money skeleton. It's money skeleton.
Vitalik
famously argued on Twitter that he could make an argument that child porn does less harm than heroin.
Bro, that was 8 years ago.
It still happened.
Yeah,
it still happened. Not an indictment of his character. I'm sure
I think people I think people think that Vitalik is probably way more calculated than he is. I think he's this like super weird online
he's an autistic savant. And so he doesn't, I often have this same thought about Elon Musk too. It's like you thought the dude trying to go to Mars was going to be normal. Like you thought that his online presence would be kosher. And similarly with Vitalik, I think that's a good point. So, but I think, firmly.
We have Charlie say Skrilla Skell. He is very skeleton-like.
And also, I guess, looks like Skrilla. Skrillex?
Maybe.
I don't know. Firmly in the middle.
Yeah, firmly in the middle. He's well known by everybody.
But here's the question with Bitcoin influence, though. I mean, can we make that argument? Probably not.
I would say he has very, very low influence currently on what the future of Bitcoin looks like. But invariably, if he comments on Bitcoin, it is in every news publication. It is circulated, and everybody sees that comment.
That's true.
But it's just not influential, I would say. But he's just like
very true.
I think people think that he's not a big megaphone, but he is. He's probably, outside of Saylor, the biggest megaphone.
Oh wow, you think that big of a megaphone?
I might say that. Yeah,
I would put him smack dab in the middle for influence. Just because nothing he says is going to really move the needle for development or for adoption of Bitcoin. I really don't think, because I mean, basically everything, more or less everything that ETH stands for at this point is kind of completely diametrically opposed to a lot of the values, I think, that drive Bitcoin development.
I would agree.
Proof of stake and just blockchain bloat, I think, are the two biggest, kind of bellwethers there. So,
yeah.
All right, Mr. Cyber Hornet.
I feel like we don't even have to really talk about. I think he's the most well-known person and probably the most influential.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Do you disagree? Where do you think?
No. I don't disagree. I just find it wild.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it's wild. He showed up
all he does is go on podcasts. He's like, Bitcoin is digital energy. It's 1,000 million cyber hornets acting in unison, making this beautiful sound money. Dude. But I guess that's all it takes sometimes.
Yeah, he's the king of aphorisms and tired analogies, but like God,
is good.
Yeah. He's so influential because
above Luke though. Okay, I think again we need to clarify what the influence means, because
the influence of the future of Bitcoin today and the future of Bitcoin. So if Michael Saylor came out super hard on anything Bitcoin technical, if he's going to be anytime he wants, if the government wants to like reference what the corporations are doing, he's the guy.
Well, and if other corporations adopt the master strategy, the micro strategy, excuse me, I call it master because every time I see,
but they're doing that. Like that's what's happening right now.
Sort of. I mean, it's like we haven't really seen the dominoes fall yet, right? Like if Microsoft does it, then like 100%, completely a game changer. But do you know what I mean? It's like it hasn't been. Saylor's the Coldplay of Bitcoin. Holy shit.
That's a good one. Thank you, Charlie, from really the comments.
Because that is actually perfect. He's so polarizing. People either love or hate him, much like Coldplay.
But everybody listens to him.
That's true. Is Coldplay, are they a British band or are they an American band?
They're British. See,
okay, they've
transcended nationality. That's how big they are. Okay,
here
we have Brian Armstrong, CEO and founder of Coinbase.
I mean, firmly in the middle too. Maybe a little more. Yeah, maybe a little more to the
more known in the dirty Degens. Yeah. And I would put him as very, very, very influential.
Yeah, 100%.
Crypto.
Baldylocks. Hey, Sovereign. It's good to see you, man. It's been a while. I hope you're doing well up there in the Great White North.
Yeah. Welcome, Sovereign Stoic. Baldylocks. There we go.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, he's the CEO of the largest Bitcoin financial institution in the U.S. Conceivably, I mean, you might even argue in the world in terms of actual legitimate volume, right? Binance probably still ahead, but regardless, one of the largest exchanges turned financial institution in the world, only publicly traded exchange that deals with crypto assets. He's probably been at numerous talks with regulators and with officials and politicians about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Definitely someone to be reckoned with, I think, on a national scale.
For anyone who's just joining, this is a spectrum of how well known each of these figures is among these different camps. We're not classifying Luke as a dirty degen. We're rather just saying he's pretty well known in the degen camp. So on to the next one. I want to try to get this tighter. We have Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, this is a good question. Probably, yeah, I think so. I think probably that's maybe a little too far. Yeah, yeah, I think that's probably right.
It's funny because like the degens will know Jack Dorsey is from Twitter.
But they don't know about Bitcoin involvement. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I would also put him. I would bump his influence up. Probably. I don't know. You can't really say. Well, I don't know.
I mean, he funds a lot of stuff. Like he's the largest funder of all Bitcoin core dev stuff. But I think he's trying to be as like removed from influence.
Yeah, 100%. I think though with Cash App and the fact that he founded one of the largest social media networks that is kind of the nucleus of discussion for all of talk regarding Bitcoin, right? I mean, I don't think you can find a forum where Bitcoin is discussed more than Twitter.
Yeah.
Now X, obviously, it was just monumental.
But his time is spent on Nostr. The great irony.
And also, but I would bump him up a little bit higher than that, honestly, just because, like, yeah, maybe he doesn't have as much say. He hasn't been around as long and doesn't have as much say maybe as a Brian Armstrong, but like he's one of the most well-known and powerful social media moguls in the world.
Yeah.
And he also, I mean, not just Cash App, but his company Block. I mean, they are building an ASIC chip. They have their own ASIC miner manufacturing biz. They've got like R&D for Bitcoin software. I mean, they're doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So I think that, definitely more influential than not. Oh man, a blast from the past.
Andreas
Antonopoulos.
Who doesn't love Andreas? I feel like every single person got their start listening to him and then strayed from Andreas if he said the wrong thing. But this is a guy who's done his own thing for forever. I would say this. If we were to roll the clock back 7 or 8 years, whatever the Laser Eye camp would be, he'd be influential and well-known. But today, not very well-known.
He got excommunicated after writing the Mastering Ethereum.
Yeah.
Which I think is a totally short-sighted move from a lot of the... And kind of a damning thing for the thought, class of Bitcoin maximalists, because I get it, like, you don't like Ethereum, you think it's a scam, whatever. The guy's an educator, and he was talking to rooms of like 3 people about Bitcoin consensus and how all of this works before your favorite podcaster even decided to pick up a mic. So
the funny thing is, he still talks to kind of empty rooms. He streams to a very modest few hundred people on Twitter today.
That's interesting. I didn't even know that. See, he's so far out of the discourse at this point. I feel like that is really indicative of the point in time we are. To borrow a phrase from Kamala Harris, let's talk about the importance of the passage of time. I think that's like super indicative of where we are in this current moment. The early adopters of Bitcoin were fastidious in their study of how it works and obsessive over the technicals of Bitcoin because there was never anything like it. I think that now that the community has been really diluted, it's much more difficult for the average Bitcoiner to wrap their mind around a lot of these things. It's much easier to talk about economic philosophy, number go up, social ramifications, things like that.
Which Andreas kind of also does. He just didn't do it in the way which was as mimetic to the modern face of Bitcoin.
All right, so Charlie, my question is, if Andreas is Paul McCartney, who is John Lennon?
I'm going to say Lop is John Lennon. I think it works really well. Well,
but he's not that much of a dick. I also don't think Lop would beat his wife. I don't see that from Lop.
Lop, I would say, is like true neutral in Bitcoin. If we're going to make an alignment chart, he's just as OG as Andreas.
Yeah,
he's just as technical. He's really, really important in the discourse, but I would say he's not as I would say he's actually still probably better known in maxi camps, although I think that could 100%. Change.
Maybe it could change. I think that he's I would even maybe put him like right there maybe. I mean, if you went to a JPEG salesman and asked them like, what do you know who this guy is? Maybe might know. Maybe just because of the Taproot Wizards profile.
Yeah. Well, and that's the irony is he's got a Taproot Wizard, but he's not as well known really in the JPEG crowd.
Yeah. I would bump up his influence a little bit though. Like he's not very high, right? I don't think that he carries the weight that that's probably right. I don't think he carries the weight that like a Luke or a Jack Dorsey carry. But I mean, I would put him in a class of like this guy really knows what he's talking about when it comes to Bitcoin.
Yeah,
he doesn't do core development. He was a co-founder, I think, and he's the CTO of Casa. I could be wrong about those titles, but he's been involved with Casa since the beginning, and he just really has the technical chops. I mean, like he's definitely in like a top 20, top 10 in terms of I think Bitcoin developers.
Yeah. And he's built a lot of custom tools to track Bitcoin. Yeah. Like if you have a question about something happening on Bitcoin, he's probably got a dashboard for it.
Yes.
Ansem, who
I had no idea who this was, so I guess y'all can see where I fall more on the spectrum here. First of all, is that actually him?
That's actually him.
That picture's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love his energy just looking at this.
That's how most people feel. So the thing is, I put Ansem into the Bitcoin narrative camp because he has always been long Bitcoin. He's always been pro Bitcoin. He loves to talk about it, but he's most known as being the Solana and meme coin king. So right now, all the meme coins happening out there, he is the hegemon of this entire meme coin movement. And therefore, because the meme coin movement is significantly affecting Bitcoin's block space dynamics, he's very much related to this, although he doesn't talk very much in detail about Bitcoin itself. So the thing is, everybody watching this from the hardcore Bitcoin camp has probably never heard of this guy. So he's about as far on the Degen spectrum.
I think so. I think that's fair placement.
And
with regards, like no influence. With regards to influencing Bitcoin, not at all. Obviously, if this were about shit coins and meme coins, he would probably be, up at the top as some of the most influential.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, I almost think of him as the diametric opposition to Robert Breedlove.
So this is an interesting critique, right? Because a lot of the anon degen shit posting traders really just have fun and they don't take themselves seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what a lot of the Bitcoin podcasting circuit needs. It's like almost this existential problem that you're trying to solve, right? And people treat it as such with Bitcoin, that it's this, skeleton key to unlock all the goods in the world and to make everything better. And it's treated with the fervor and the ideology of, honestly, a lot of stuff that I see from fringe political circles, like be that anarchists or communists, right?
Yeah. Okay, next one is one of my favorite wordsmiths and one of my favorite people in like as Bitcoin Twitter was coming up is American Hodl. He's really on Nostr these days, and he's never been like much of a podcaster. He's more of just like a talking head guy, and he would be the person who talks the most. And also, he takes himself very seriously and not seriously at the same time. A part of me loves him because he's
the everyman's Bitcoiner. He is the stand-in for the average pleb who is just trying to escape the fucking matrix, bro.
Yeah.
He's just trying to stack enough Bitcoin so that they can have a better life and so that they can save money for the future and not have their savings debased.
Yeah.
I think that where you have it is
probably top 10 people to get a beer or 10 beers with in Bitcoin.
Oh, definitely 10 beers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
ZK, who we talked about on this before, kind of one of the rising stars in this post-ordinals world, creator of the ordinal MaxiBiz. I would say they're like, it's the Neo laser eyes, but not with less baggage
it's laser eyes that are shitcoin curious.
Yeah,
they're okay. It's like libertarian compliment to like old school Republicans. It's like got similar leanings, but we also are okay with pot and gay marriage.
Yeah, exactly. I love ZK, but he's what's funny is like I would say he's highly influential in ordinals because he says so little, and when he does, it becomes like a thing. He's very much a man of action, and then it becomes a narrative or a thing. I don't think he's that influential in the Bitcoin discourse yet, but he could be, and I think he wants to be.
I think it's gonna be hard. I honestly think, that's probably good. I don't think any Bitcoiners like hardcore know who he is.
No,
I think anyone involved in ordinals and inscriptions are gonna have a really hard time breaking into Bitcoin thought leadership.
Yeah,
for better or worse.
But do they need to? Because the thing is, like, it's all about top of funnel.
I don't think so. I don't think they need to. I would also just make a point. I'm sorry not to belabor things, but we know we need to get through it. But the way that the Bitcoin's, all of these subcultures have evolved, and the fact that the Bitcoin community has become more fragmented and fractured is a good thing. I think actually, as long as people are united around the core ethos of don't fuck with our coins, make sure we have the right to self-custody, make sure we have the right to run our own nodes, make sure that we have the right to use Bitcoin. As long as that everyone is it rallies around those problems, if the push ever comes to shove with institutions and governments, then that's fine. But I think this is actually all of these different sub communities mushrooming is an indication of health. We don't want to
this is agreed. We talk about this. Okay, I'm gonna skip fast. Pierre Richard, OG, one of the first like Bitcoin think boys, where his words have stood the test of time pretty well.
Yeah.
But he's fallen off a little bit in terms of, I would say, like influence, and he's not known at all among the Degen crowd.
Not among the Degen crowd. I think Pierre is still firmly, pretty firmly known within the Bitcoin crowd. I would put him neutral in terms of influence, like
because of his now he's involved in like my higher level like Bitcoin mining world.
Partially, right? Yeah. I mean, so like Pierre's trajectory has been interesting. He kind of started out, I think he was a developer at some point. I could be totally wrong about that, but a lot of really good resources in the early days of Lightning. Like his guide for setting up a Lightning node is still one of the like best that you can find. And you know, obviously he and Michael Goldstein, that's right? The
Goldstein, yeah. Bitstein?
They had Bitstein, yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's Michael Goldstein, but anyway, Bitstein. They had a podcast for a few years. Maybe they still do it, but now he works at Riot, and he's done a lot of. I always love it because whenever there's any news item about Bitcoin's energy use, he's in the comments section. My favorite line of his is Bitcoin doesn't release emissions, which is technically true. It's just such a hilarious way to troll and like kind of rewrite perceptions. But yeah, because of some of that stuff, and just because I do think that he still carries a lot of weight with some maximalists in terms of what he says, I would put him firmly neutral in terms of influence.
Yep. Let's do Leonidas. One of the most terminally online people. He is basically synonymous with the term ordinals Twitter. But he's pretty much a newcomer post ordinals, and has since literally day one had the biggest platform for talking about ordinals stuff on Twitter. And he's probably the largest funnel through the ordinal show of like new crypto people having their first conversations in a Bitcoin only Bitcoin space. That said,
I don't think Bitcoiners know who he is.
They don't really know. They if they were to be like, who's a person in ordinals, they'd probably think of him and maybe Udi and Casey. But
yeah,
I think he's probably moderately influential, just because he kind of commands the minds and brains of everybody in ordinals right now. I just don't know if he knows what to do with it. So
yeah, specifically within that niche though too, right? I don't think that any influence over Bitcoin in general.
Yeah, very little. But it's funny because I know like he wants to have OpCat as a fork. He just don't think he doesn't know any of like the core developers. He doesn't know really anything about like who's doing what on Bitcoin, but he wants to, which I gotta give him credit. Casey.
Okay, probably one of the most controversial figures of the last few years.
Voted like most important person in crypto by CoinDesk of 2023.
Really?
Number one.
Wild. Also, one of the best podcasters in Bitcoin. Hell Money is great.
Probably, a
shout out
second to Bitcoin season 2.
Yeah, I think smack dab in the middle, or maybe a little bit.
I think, probably. Yeah. I think. What's funny is like I think he's intentionally trying to stay as far away from any soft fork discussion or any about like what Bitcoin should do in the future. But if we want to talk about like 90% of the things happening on Bitcoin right now are literally things that Casey in a cave with just like Iron Man building his first suit in a cave with a wrench, like built, and now they're like the entire Bitcoin
You
economy.
mean covenants?
No, I'm talking about ordinals and runes.
Oh,
But
because
yeah.
I was gonna say a lot of the discussion about the current soft fork activation, I think, is downstream of ordinals and runes.
Yeah.
It got people excited with development on Bitcoin again. I think that's about right. That's a little too high. I don't think I'd put him above Luke. I don't think we can do that.
He's not more influential than Luke or Brian Armstrong.
Definitely
Probably
more influential than Udi, though. Or maybe not. I don't know.
I'm gonna put him a little higher than Udi.
Oh, Udi just got demoted.
Yeah, I just demoted you, Udi. So sorry. Okay.
That's funny. So, but even that far,
here is hilarious. This little cluster
that far on the dirty Degen side, though, because I think a lot of Bitcoiners know him just out of spite.
Yeah,
like he's the man who destroyed the fee market, but then came and saved it. We should talk about that.
But they don't view it like that. He did save it, but
he did save it with runes. Which I always see these spaces that say runes were a mistake. I don't really understand that. I think
it's a joke. It's a tongue-in-cheek
Okay,
joke.
that makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense.
Let's go to Preston Pish.
Preston. I have no opinions about Preston.
He's not known hardly at all. I would say probably he's around Pierre Richard, and he's not influential at all in the future. Well, I put him above Robert because he's really influential in like the Bitcoin investor class.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the. I don't know if he peeled off from the. What was that? Billionaires. What was it? What was the podcast?
Invest. Yeah, the Invest like Warren Buffett podcast or whatever.
No, it's like we interview billionaires or something. It was like
but it was like in the style of he got inspired by he's Warren Buffett, but he likes Bitcoin. That's the difference.
Okay. Anyway, good podcast. Interesting stuff to say. Definitely gives a nice kind of credence to a lot of the maximalist talking points from a more buttoned up individual coming from more TradFi circles. So
yeah. We have Jack Mallers, who I would actually kind of put as like Pish, but maybe a little more influential because he's done some notable like.
I mean, I definitely put him. I think we have to put him not as much as you got to put Lop a little bit for. Yeah, I think that's about right. Because at the end of the day, like Jack Mallers, I mean, you could argue though a lot of the stuff in El Salvador, he had hands in that.
He gets to own the that early El Salvador narrative because he announced it. Strike was
Strike was working with the El Salvadorian government to discuss logistics. I don't know if they contracted them to build Chivo. I would have a hard time believing that because Chivo is such a trash app. And I just want to say something about Strike too for a second. Strike to me is one of the coolest apps. Yeah. One of the coolest wallets in Bitcoin. I don't think people really appreciate, and there was a lot of hand waving when this came out, but like you can use Strike right now to send a remittance to your friends in Great Britain and it settles instantly. Like there's nothing. It settles in pounds and you can do it dollar denominated. There is nothing in the world that does that I'm aware of currently. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Strike Strike consistently one of the best like sleeper onboarding wallets.
Yeah. Used to be Olympus. I interviewed him a few times while I was at Bitcoin Magazine.
Oh, yeah. Now we have Senator Todd Emmer, the guy
representative, I think.
Representative, whatever. The guy who in a room full of like Bitcoiners would probably not be recognized if he weren't wearing a suit.
That's true. But I think it's like him, Warren Davis, and Cynthia Lummis have been some of the biggest champions of Bitcoin in Washington.
Yeah.
So
he's the House Majority Whip, and he knows Bitcoin. He knows Bitcoin really well. He's a very, very strongly pro Bitcoin, and he's like, isn't that fourth in line for president?
The whip? No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
Vice President, Secretary of State, Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House. Gotcha. Okay, never mind then. whatever. I don't know this shit. I'm a Bitcoiner, so
Maybe it's not even Speaker of the House. It might be something else.
It is Speaker of the House. Okay, but like I would say he's highly influential because he's one of the most influential people in anytime there's like a panel in DC on crypto, he's like the guy. He's one of the only people who has any productive conversations in that godforsaken city.
Right. So I need to correct something. It goes Vice President, Speaker of the House, President pro tempore of the Senate. Maybe that's just President of the Senate, Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, Secretary.
Okay, so Whip's not even on there.
Yeah, so in terms of influence, this kind of raises an interesting question. Where do we put political influence on this? Because certainly not nothing. I don't think you can say it's nothing. Certainly not super influential though. At the very least, it's nice to have allies in Washington.
But I would put him higher than like most of the people we've put kind of slightly below half. Like I would put him as he's probably better known among the hardcore Bitcoin crowd.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think
he's not as influential as Dorsey, but like I think he's a little above average on influence.
Yeah, I would say that's true.
Yeah. Probably right there.
Yeah. All right. Mr. Obnoxious himself.
Mr.
Peter McCormick, the Adam Curry of Bitcoin podcasts, the Bitcoin podcasting podfather.
One of the best podcasts in Bitcoin, I would say, ever.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down. I mean, he's a great host. He's got good energy. He's always had good conversations. People criticize him for not knowing enough about Bitcoin after running a Bitcoin podcast for 8 years. Probably fair.
It's a fair criticism. He doesn't really
probably fair. Maybe it isn't 8 years. It's in 2017. Maybe that he started it. But anyway,
whatever.
Firmly in the middle. I feel like everyone.
I'm gonna say he's he leans pretty firmly maxi.
But I think most crypto people would know who he is. Like
crypto, that's true. That's true. Crypto people would know, but the Degens don't know him. So we're gonna put him maybe like right here, slightly.
Okay.
But
and as for influence, no, I don't think so. I mean, a great podcaster, had some amazing conversations, definitely good at educating people on a bunch of different topics. But like if Peter came out in favor of OpCat, I don't think anyone would care.
Yeah, nobody.
It wouldn't change. It'd be like us coming out of. It'd be like, okay, cool, cool opinion, bro. You should put it on your trophy shelf.
Exactly, with all the other ones, because the man has won some trophies with the soccer team.
Oh yeah, Real Bedford. Shout out to the
men's and women's
or skeletons. What's their? I don't know what their mascot is. But Peter has aspirations to make it to the Premier League. Never been done before. Real Bedford was at the bottom of the league structure in the UK. I think it's like 7 or 8 leagues.
Yeah.
I hope they make it. It'd be amazing if it happens.
Yeah. Also, top 5 people to have a beer with. I've had many beers with him. I think many people have.
Definitely a guy to have a beer with.
Definitely.
Super fun. And shout out to his producer or co-host Danny Knowles.
Yeah.
And go check out his new, because he sunsetted what Bitcoin did. Now it's Mr. Obnoxious, which is just so funny.
It's like the British libertarian Joe Rogan.
Kind of, yeah. Well, we call him a libertarian at this point. People used to call him a statist. I think a lot of the arguments won him over, though. I think he really made the jump when he had a tweet a while back. I think he was like, okay, now I'm starting to question taxes.
I know. Peter, I love the guy, but I think he's the best example of audience capture, where I don't know if he actually became a libertarian. I think it's just his audience bullied him into becoming a libertarian.
Right.
Okay. Frank, DGods Frank, creator of DGods, and one of the only I would say, success stories of the last bear market for NFTs, Frank was like the lone rising guy, and he's been really, really influential into NFTs lately. NFTs are pretty vapid and change year to year or week to week. But he's, one of like the biggest names in the NFT world, and he's very pro Bitcoin.
Yeah, but I don't think Bitcoiners know who he is.
Nobody, none of the Bitcoiners know who he is. I would put him under. He'd be dying if you're watching this. I'm gonna put him under ZK in influence. But yeah.
Yeah, one of the blue chip NFT collections. He ported it to Bitcoin last year, I think. He made an Ordinals collection. Luxor was actually involved in that mint.
Yeah,
and I think it's a step above Lazy Lions, but I honestly think they're so fucking ugly. Like Lazy Lion. Do you remember Lazy Lions from
bro? Yeah, there's some MicroStrategy soup Gigabull guy who's got a Lazy Lion as a profile picture, and I don't know, it splits my brain.
Wait, there's a MicroStrategy like C-suite executive that has a Lazy Lion.
No, he's become like
he's become a MicroStrategy Gigabull. That's so funny. Lazy Lions might be the most odious and offensive NFT collection.
You heard it here first. Lazy Lions, worst NFT.
Your ass art.
Let's do Adam back last. Let's do Cynthia Lummis. We feel kind of bad. She's the only girl on our lineup.
You didn't have to point it out,
but I did.
Now we're gonna get canceled. Our Patreon's gonna get pulled. Just kidding. We don't have a Patreon.
Just kidding. We don't have one. Suck at hell money. Definitely second best podcast.
Cynthia Lummis again, just a really big champion of Bitcoin in the Senate. She's Bitcoin grandma. We love her. Probably similarly influential. I would honestly put her almost completely overlapping with Tom Emmer.
I put
maybe a little bit more influential. I think a little more influential though.
Yeah,
because she has been one of the loudest proponents in Washington.
Yeah, I would agree. And she's on the stage of every Bitcoin conference. So she's probably a little more well known than Emmer, who Emmer doesn't like do a lot of speaking gigs, but Cynthia Lummis is pretty like out in front, like on stages, talking, panels, podcasts, that kind of thing.
Yeah, agreed. All right, now for Satoshi Nakamoto. Sorry, Adam back. Excuse me. We should just you should actually just make it that big. Oh man.
So for the listener, I blew up Adam Back's face really big because what's funny is like, respect to the guy, but he's kind of like old now. And I don't like, he comments a lot of things and I think he's really influential, but I don't know, man. He's like the most classic example of like old guard Bitcoiner who's like still around. And
it's almost like if Jimmy Carter were to come back and start commenting on American politics. Like he's Jimmy Carter.
And
that's kind of unfair because Jimmy Carter is like 100 years old.
I was about to say Jimmy Carter hasn't left technically.
Jimmy Carter's old as shit.
Did you see the pictures of Jimmy Carter like voting the other day?
No, is it like Weekend at Bernie's?
It looks like Weekend at Bernie's. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I think we can't make his influence zero because this guy was cited in the white paper and he still has technical chops that people really respect. Like if Adam Back weighs in on something, and like if you go on Twitter, like a lot of his stuff is like bull posting. It's almost kind of verges into like Michael Saylor-esque kind of pump my bags. But when a technical topic is discussed, he weighs in and you can just tell he's thinking about things on a level that most people just never will.
That's true.
So And interesting that you put him smack dab in the middle. I don't know if maybe that makes sense.
He's probably more well known. He's definitely every like laser eye knows him, and most Degens know who he is, but every laser eye knows him.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Yeah, he's pro op cat, which is interesting.
Well, Blockstream has been pro op. I mean, Andrew Palestra has worked on it. Yeah, that's interesting. It the kind of surge of interest in OpCat has been fascinating to see. I don't know enough about it to make an educated opinion, but it seems like a lot of people are pushing for it. Obviously, covenants are going to be a good thing for Bitcoin, so it'd be nice to see something happen.
CTV when just activate CTV already.
Activate CTV and OpCat. Like let's get some more funding into Bitcoin Core and get people working on these things.
Yeah.
Because just to say something that we said on the podcast before, but I wanted to circle it back to that conversation, the only reason CTV was really bike shedded, I think that's the right term, right? When you just put it in the shed and you forget about it, right?
You put it in the shed because you're going to go work on it, and you never do.
Okay, right. So it ended up being bike shedded because people had problems with how Taproot was activated. It had nothing to do with CTV. It was all of the debate was focused on how Taproot was activated.
Taproot was activated, and then how, and then also criticism of how Jeremy wanted to activate it.
Yeah, he really
missed way too fast, which is a different conversation.
I think that was probably a huge mistake on his part. He went to mining pools and asked, "Do you support this?" And then but he was doing that in good faith. I think he wanted to say, "See, look, like miners are not going to neglect the upgrade, and then we're going to have maybe a fork." Right, like there's going to be a contentious fork because miners aren't upgrading. I think he was trying to do that to show like they're going to upgrade to this if we end up pushing forward a soft fork.
Yeah,
so, but definitely one of those things where it just seemed very it was kind of clumsily done and didn't read the room properly. I think at the time.
I don't know. My argument is that the room didn't want anything to be read in the room. There was absolutely no way to do it the right way. That my view is that there was absolutely no way to do it the right way.
I think that's probably true. I think people thought that it was too soon. We just had Taproot. Why are we rushing something else out? Yeah.
I really think that the Taproot Wizards approach is like one of the only ones that works. Is you have to get a bunch of money. You have to activate a teeming feral horde of cats. And you have to be kind of reductionist and then serve up the top tier technical talent to back it up. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think there might be something to that. Like they understood that you have to win the culture war before you can win the technical war in a way.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the marketing comes in, right? Like the Bitland thing and their like weird cartoonish Rugrats-esque white paper. It wasn't really a white paper.
It's a storybook.
Yeah, I know. And that's, I do think there's something to be said. Shinobi railed on them for that. And I think he's kind of right. Like there's a certain level that we need to have in terms of the discussion. And that's not it. One last thing to say about activation stuff, because I bookmarked it in my head when we were talking about Saylor. One of the things in that interview with him that is belied by his response is one of the dangers of concentrating Bitcoin in the hands of institutions is that really, at the end of the day, the economic majority decides the results of a contentious fork. We can screech all day about nodes like having a vote and all that stuff, and that's true. If you run the code, you can have whatever you want, and you can pick what you want. But if 50%, 51% of Bitcoin is held within major financial institutions and they want to push forward a change, guess what? The market is going to side with them. Because that's where the economic value is, and I think that's one of the real dangers with that kind of custodial talk. So,
yeah, I feel like we're going to be talking about soft forks a lot.
Where are we going to be talking about them, Charlie?
I know it's call to action for the people who are still listening. We got you locked in. You can't escape. Make sure you head to opnext.dev, opnext.dev. We have a conference, a Bitcoin scaling conference, November 9th, Boston, Massachusetts. That's right.
We're going to Boston, baby.
Boston in the fall. And if you made it this far, we're going to give you a super top secret discount code. You can use my last name, Spears, Spears, for 30% off your ticket. That takes your GA pass down from $100 to $70. So November 9th in Boston. But I don't know, like, Colin, let's pat ourselves on the back here. This is a hell of a speaker list here.
This is a really good speaker list. We've got Steve Lee and Ren talking about stakeholders in Bitcoin consensus. Going to be a really good talk about a paper that they put together with some other folks, including Lynn Alden, looking at how consensus on Bitcoin works, exactly what it means, how loose it is, and how it's coordinated. We've got Portland Hoddle talking about, do we even need a soft fork? We got Peter Todd talking about covenants and what they might do for the layer 2 ecosystem. We got Jeremy Rubin talking about
Jeremy Rubin
coming out of hiding, coming out of his hiatus, talking about OpCTV. Got Ethan Heilman going to talk about OpCat. Brandon Black talking about collaborative harm reduction. I don't know if that has anything to do with Ellen Hance. Got Reindahl talking about dev tooling post covenants. We've got Pete Rizzo giving a talk about the one of Bitcoin's first soft forks. Taz Dryja talking about scaling Bitcoin in the
Taz
L1.
Dryja, the co-inventor of Lightning, mind you.
That's good plug. Thank you for the extra commentary there, Charlie. Robert Miller talking about Ethereum MEV trigger alert. We got Rusty Russell, amazing, coming all the way from down under.
Well, he is video conferencing in. This is our
which
video
makes more sense. Okay,
yeah,
but still exciting. Rusty, one of the great Bitcoin developers. A lot of work on Lightning as well, talking about the great script restoration. Then we're closing out with some amazing panels on activation and other scary words, and also just what are we going to get? Are we going to get a soft fork or not? And then we also have on the workshop track bunch of great presenters presenting a bunch of different
Brandon Roberts from Starkware on Shinigami.
We got Alex B from ARC. We got Paul Soares talking about BIP 300, I guess, or
no. This is core. This is core avoiding activated soft fork. It's like soft fork without core. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And so really great agenda we got lined up for y'all. We're really excited about it. Been putting in a lot of man hours trying to get this all together. It's our first conference. We're very self-conscious about it. We want to make sure it's a good conference.
Yeah.
And it's heavily technical focus, as you can see. This is not going to be a usual Bitcoin conference where people wax poetic about ending the fiat standard and all these other things. We're focused on soft forks. We're focused on scaling proposals. We're focused on layer 2 tech. We want to have a heavy technical discussion, and we hope it's going to be good fodder for discussion. We hope
this is one which this is one where if you're a JPEG trader, this is not what you come to. However, if you are a Degen who has a TCTO or like a dev you work with, you want to send this person to the conference because it will give them the tools to navigate the very uncertain future of Bitcoin consensus.
100%. And so 200 for lunch. Yes, we will be live streaming it on Twitter and YouTube, I believe, both. So all the programming should come at you live. We're working on getting that off the ground, and then you'll be able to find those recordings on the Blockspace Media YouTube as well after the fact in case you miss it.
Yeah. So without further ado, Colin and everybody, happy Friday. Make sure if you listen to this is a visual heavy one. So this is more of a throw it on the smart TV and watch it as you
throw it on the smart TV. Go on YouTube, make some hot chocolate after you carve pumpkins with your significant other or your cat.
Yeah.
But I guess that's a wrap, Charlie. I hope y'all have a beautiful weekend, and we hope to see you next week where we will be talking about something, but hopefully it'll be in costume because that'll be Halloween.
Oh, we're committing to that. Okay.
I think we should.
Here we go. We gotta have some kind of costume. I'll just do my normal Hunter S. Thompson crazy.
You do Hunter S. Thompson. I could do David Foster Wallace.
Honestly, oh my god, with a bandana
Let's do it. That's great.
and the
That's
circle
actually
glasses, and
amazing.
you got to like talk really contemplatively.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay, until next time. See you later on Bitcoin's Easy.
All right.